I, 42 farads, am standing on the precipice of what should be the happiest day of my life, but instead, I feel like I'm about to jump off a cliff into an abyss of regret and unfulfillment. Tomorrow, I'm supposed to walk down the aisle and marry a man I don't love, all because of my parents' expectations and a series of events set in motion by my twin sister 2 decades ago. Reddit. I desperately need your advice because I feel like I'm about to make the biggest mistake of my life. Let me give you some background on how I ended up in this mess. I come from what most would consider a typical middle-class American family in the suburbs of Boston. My parents, now in their early 70s, always had high expectations for my twin sister and me. We were raised to be the perfect daughters, get straight A's, participate in extracurricular activities, go to a prestigious college, land a stable jobs, and eventually settle down with a nice, respectable man to start a family of our own. Growing up, my sister and I were inseparable. We shared everything: clothes, friends, and even our dreams. We both had a passion for environmental conservation and would spend hours watching nature documentaries and planning how we'd save the world one day. Our parents encouraged our interests, but always with the caveat that we should pursue practical careers first. However, as we entered our teenage years, cracks began to show in our once perfect sisterly bond. My twin started to rebel against our parents' expectations. She began to skip classes, hang out with a rougher crowd, and constantly push boundaries. I, on the other hand, remained the dutiful daughter, always striving to meet our parents' high standards. By the time we graduated high school, the rift between us had grown significantly. I was heading to a prestigious university to study business administration, my parents' choice, of course, while my sister decided to take a gap year to find herself. Our parents were hesitant about her decision, but agreed, hoping she'd come around and join me in college the following year. That's when everything changed. 3 months into her gap year, my sister did something that altered the course of all our lives. She emptied our parents' savings account, a substantial sum they'd set aside for our college education and their retirement, and disappeared without a trace. The shock and betrayal were overwhelming. Our parents were devastated, angry, and most of all, terrified that they had somehow failed as parents. I'll never forget the day we realized she was gone. The look of utter defeat on my father's face as he stared at the empty safe, the sound of my mother's heartbroken sobs echoing through our suddenly too quiet house. It was as if all the light had been sucked out of our lives in an instant. In the weeks that followed, our family fell apart. My parents aged years in a matter of days, the stress and heartbreak etching deep lines into their faces. They spent countless hours on the phone with the police, private investigators, and anyone who might have information about my sister's whereabouts. But it was as if she had vanished into thin air. As the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the hope of finding my sister dwindled. The police eventually closed the case, telling us that she was an adult who had chosen to leave. But for my parents, the nightmare was far from over. They became obsessed with figuring out where they had gone wrong, analyzing every decision they'd ever made in raising us. That's when their attitude towards me changed dramatically. They became extremely overprotective, afraid that I might follow in my sister's footsteps. It was as if they thought they could make up for losing one daughter by holding on to the other even tighter. From that point on, my parents started making all my life decisions for me. They monitored my every move, questioned my friends, and even started reading my emails and text messages. Any hint of independence or rebellion on my part was met with panic and accusations that I was turning out like her. My college experience, which should have been a time of growth and self-discovery, became a carefully controlled experiment in parental oversight. They chose my classes, approved my friends, and even tried to dictate my extracurricular activities. I was no longer allowed to pursue my interest in environmental studies. It was deemed too risky and impractical. Instead, I was pushed further into business courses, groomed for a career that would provide stability and security. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had. I graduated with honors and landed a job at a respected pharmaceutical company right out of college. On paper, my life looks perfect. I have a successful career, a comfortable lifestyle, and parents who love me. But beneath the surface, I've always felt like I was living someone else's life. Every day, I go to work in a job that, while respectable, doesn't ignite any passion in me. I sit in meetings discussing profit margins and marketing strategies, when what I really want to do is be out there making a difference in the world. The irony isn't lost on me that I work for a company that sometimes contributes to the very environmental issues I once dreamed of solving. Over the years, I've tried to find small ways to pursue my passion. I volunteer at local cleanup events on weekends and donate to environmental charities. But it feels like putting a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. The dreams I once had of making a real impact, of perhaps working for a major conservation organization or starting my own environmental nonprofit, seem like distant memories of another life. As the years passed, my parents' control over my life didn't wane. If anything, it intensified. They were constantly pushing me to settle down, to find a nice man, and start a family. In their minds, my getting married and having children would be the ultimate proof that they hadn't failed as parents, that they could still have the perfect family they'd always dreamed of. Which brings me to my current predicament. 2 years ago, my parents introduced me to the man, 44M, who is now my fiancé. He's the son of their friends from church, a successful accountant with a stable job and a good reputation in the community. On paper, he's the perfect match. Kind, responsible, and from a good family. Our courtship, if you can call it that, was more like a business arrangement than a romance. We went on carefully chaperoned dates, always with my parents or his nearby. We talked about safe, approved topics, our jobs, the weather, plans for the future. But we never really connected on a deeper level. I kept waiting for that spark, that flutter of excitement you're supposed to feel when you're falling in love. But it never came. Instead, I felt a growing sense of dread as our relationship progressed along its predetermined path. When he proposed 6 months ago, it wasn't a surprise. It was more like the next item on a checklist being ticked off. The ring he presented was beautiful, chosen with input from my mother to ensure it was exactly what a proper engagement ring should be. I said yes, not out of love or excitement, but out of a sense of resigned duty. The past 6 months have been a whirlwind of wedding preparations. My mother has thrown herself into planning, seeming to live vicariously through each decision about flowers, dresses, and table settings. My father beams with pride every time he talks about his future son-in-law, already planning fishing trips and golf outings together. Meanwhile, I've felt like a spectator in my own life, watching as decisions are made and plans are set in motion, all leading to tomorrow, my wedding day. My fiancé, for his part, seems content with our arrangement. He's not madly in love with me either, but he thinks we'll make a good team. He talks about our future in practical terms, combining our finances, the sensible house we'll buy in a good school district, the 2.5 kids we'll have right on schedule. It's a future that looks perfect from the outside, but feels hollow and suffocating to me. As the wedding has drawn closer, my anxiety has skyrocketed. I've had countless sleepless nights, staring at the ceiling and wondering how I let my life come to this point. I've thought about calling off the wedding dozens of times, but every time I work up the courage to say something, I look at my parents' hopeful faces and the words die in my throat. The worst part is, I can't help but blame my sister for all of this. If she hadn't run away all those years ago, maybe my parents wouldn't be so controlling. Maybe I would have had the chance to make my own choices, to find love on my own terms, to pursue a career that truly fulfilled me. I've spent years resenting my sister, but now I find myself envying her courage. She had the guts to break free, to pursue her own path, even if it meant hurting our family. Meanwhile, I've been living my life on autopilot, too afraid to rock the boat, too paralyzed by the fear of disappointing my parents to take control of my own destiny. There are moments when I wonder what became of her. Did she find the freedom and fulfillment she was looking for? Does she ever think about us, about the chaos she left in her wake? Part of me wants to hate her for what she did, but another part of me wonders if she didn't do what I've always been too afraid to do, take a leap into the unknown in pursuit of happiness. As I sit here, less than 24 hours away from walking down the aisle, I'm paralyzed with indecision. My wedding dress hangs in the closet, a beautiful, expensive symbol of the future that's been planned for me. The rings are safely tucked away, waiting to bind me to a life I'm not sure I want. Everything is ready for what's supposed to be the happiest day of my life, but all I feel is dread. I keep thinking about what my life could have been if I had made my own choices. Maybe I would have pursued my passion for environmental conservation, working for a nonprofit, or starting my own organization dedicated to protecting our planet. Maybe I would have traveled the world, met someone I truly connected with on a deep, soulful level. Maybe I would have started my own business, taking risks and facing challenges that would have helped me grow as a person. But now, at 42, I feel like it might be too late to start over. I look in the mirror and see a woman I barely recognize, someone who's lived half her life trying to be what everyone else wants her to be, never daring to be true to herself. My friends have been supportive, but they don't fully understand the pressure I'm under. They keep telling me it's never too late to change my life, that I shouldn't go through with a marriage I'm not sure about. But they don't know what it's like to bear the weight of my parents' expectations, to feel responsible for their happiness after everything they've been through. I've even considered reaching out to my sister, but I have no idea where she is or if she'd even want to hear from me after all this time. Part of me wonders if she's out there living her best life, free from the constraints that have held me back all these years. Another part fears that she's struggled, that she regrets her decision to leave. The not knowing is sometimes the hardest part. As the hours tick by, I find myself going through the motions of last-minute wedding preparations. I've had my final dress fitting, confirmed arrangements with the florist and the caterer, and picked up the marriage license. Each task feels like another nail in the coffin of my freedom, another step towards a future I'm not sure I want. I keep asking myself, is this really all there is? Am I destined to live a life of quiet desperation, always wondering what could have been? Or do I have it in me to break free, to disappoint my parents, but potentially find true happiness? The thought of calling off the wedding terrifies me. I imagine the shock and disappointment on my parents' faces, the gossip that would spread through our community, the financial implications of canceling at the last minute. But then I think about the alternative, going through with this marriage, potentially spending the rest of my life in a loveless relationship, always wondering, what if? I know that if I go through with this wedding, I might be giving up my last chance at true happiness. But if I call it off, I risk losing the only stability I've ever known. My relationship with my parents would likely be irreparably damaged. I might have to leave my job, find a new place to live, essentially start my life over from scratch at 42. Is it selfish of me to want more out of life at this age? Haven't my parents suffered enough with losing one daughter? How can I even begin to explain to my fiancé that I don't want to marry him when he's done nothing wrong except not be the right person for me? I feel like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff. On one side is the life that's been planned for me, safe, stable, but utterly devoid of passion. On the other side is the unknown, scary and uncertain, but potentially fulfilling. I'm terrified of making the wrong choice, of regretting whichever path I take. Reddit, I'm at a loss. What should I do? Should I go through with this wedding and try to make the best of it, hoping that contentment, if not happiness, will follow? Or should I call it off and face the consequences, taking a chance on finding my own path to happiness? How do I balance my own desires with my parents' expectations and the stability I've always known? I know this is a decision only I can make, but I desperately need some outside perspective. Has anyone been in a similar situation? How did you handle it? Did you regret your choice, whatever it was? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. The wedding is in less than 24 hours, and I feel like I'm running out of time. Whatever I decide, I know it will change the course of my life forever. I just hope I have the courage to make the right choice, whatever that may be. As I write this, my phone is buzzing with messages from well-wishers, my email is flooded with last-minute confirmations from vendors, and I can hear my mother downstairs, humming happily as she arranges flowers for tomorrow's ceremony. The world is moving forward, racing towards this wedding, and I feel frozen in place, unable to move, unable to breathe. I keep thinking about a quote I once read. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Am I wasting my talent, my potential, my one precious life by going along with everyone else's plans for me? Or is the real waste in throwing away a stable future for a dream that might never come true? I don't expect anyone to have all the answers, but if you've read this far, thank you. Sometimes just being heard makes a difference, and if anyone out there has any wisdom to share, I'm all ears. Because right now, on the eve of what's supposed to be the best day of my life, I've never felt more lost. Update 1. I can't believe what just happened. My wedding day turned into the most surreal experience of my life. As I was about to walk down the aisle, I saw someone standing at the altar next to my bewildered fiancé. It was my long-lost twin sister, wearing an identical dress. The church erupted in chaos. My parents gasped. Guests murmured in confusion. In that moment, I realized I didn't want to get married. Not to this man, not today, not ever, unless it was truly my choice. I walked up to the altar, laughing at the absurdity of the situation. To everyone's shock, I announced, "There won't be a wedding today." I thanked my sister for saving me from a huge mistake. My parents were devastated. My mother cried. My father looked angry and lost. My fiancé, surprisingly, admitted he had doubts too. We agreed to talk later, but the engagement was off. My sister and I talked for hours. She explained she couldn't let me go through with something she knew I didn't want. We have 20 years of issues to work through, but we've started rebuilding our relationship. I don't know what the future holds. My parents aren't speaking to me, and I might lose my job and home. But for the first time in years, I feel free. To anyone in a similar situation, it's never too late to be true to yourself. The path won't be easy, but it's worth it. I'm just starting mine. Thank you, Reddit, for your advice. I'll update once I figure out my next steps. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time, embracing the freedom to choose my own path. Update 2. A month has passed since my non-wedding day. I want to update you on the aftermath of my twin surprise and my decision to call off the wedding. I'm living with my sister temporarily. We're slowly rebuilding our relationship, tackling 20 years of issues. It's tough, but healing. My parents aren't speaking to me. They're hurt and angry, understandably. I've reached out, but silence so far. I hope time will heal this rift. My ex-fiancé and I talked. He had doubts too. We're remaining friends. I quit my pharmaceutical jobs and now volunteer at an environmental nonprofit. It's not paying bills, but it's fulfilling. I'm considering studying environmental science. Financially, it's tough. I'm using savings, which won't last, but I'm excited about the future. My sister's been supportive, helping me navigate independence. We discussed the money she took years ago. It's complex, but we're working through it. She's making amends financially and emotionally. I'm in therapy for codependency issues. It's hard facing how I let others control my life, but I'm learning to set boundaries and make my own decisions. I have moments of doubt and fear, but then I remember how suffocated I felt before. I know I'm on the right path. I've taken up hiking, which is freeing. I've also reconnected with old friends, rebuilding connections and rediscovering myself. There are challenges. Some see me as ungrateful or selfish. The gossip is tough, but I'm learning to care less about others' opinions. I've had job interviews in the environmental sector. They're entry-level, which is humbling, but I'm excited to align my career with my values. I'm not dating yet, focusing on myself first, but I'm open to finding love on my own terms later. Thank you, Reddit, for your support. Your words gave me courage. Here's to new beginnings and living life on our own terms. I'll update again later. Wish me luck on this self-discovery journey. It's scary, but I've never felt more alive. Update 3. 6 months post non-wedding, and my life's taken another turn. I want to share the latest. I've landed a job at an environmental nonprofit. After months of volunteering, I got an offer. It's entry-level, humbling at my age, but I'm thrilled to work in a field I'm passionate about. The pay cut is significant, but the purpose I feel is worth it. My first project is coordinating local river clean UPS. It's challenging, but seeing our impact on the community's ecosystem is rewarding. I'm learning about conservation, grassroots organizing, and community engagement daily. Mom reached out. We met for coffee. It was tense. She's hurt, but trying to understand. We're taking baby steps. Dad's still distant, but Mom hints he asks about me. I'm hopeful he'll come around. It's slow, but I'm learning patience. My sister and I are closer. Living together has challenges, but it's great to reconnect. Our Sunday hikes have become a tradition, helping us work through past issues and bond. Personal growth continues. Therapy's helping me understand my people-pleasing tendencies and set boundaries. I'm more comfortable asserting myself now. I've started dating. Met someone at an environmental meetup. It's early, but nice to connect with someone sharing my values. We're taking it slow as I maintain my independence. Finances are tight, but I'm managing. I've downsized significantly, but find joy in simplicity. My sister and I might get an apartment together to split costs. Challenges persist. I doubt my decisions sometimes, especially when money's tight. But remembering my old life's emptiness reassures me. Starting a new career in my 40s is tough. I often feel out of depth among younger colleagues, but I'm trying to see my life experience as an asset. My ex-fiance and I are still friendly. He's been surprisingly supportive, even volunteering at a river cleanup. Looking ahead, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm starting a part-time online environmental science course next semester. Balancing work and study will be hard, but I'm excited to learn more. Thanks for your support throughout this journey. To anyone considering a major life change, it's never too late to pursue your passions. It's challenging but rewarding. I'll update again later. Update 4. A year post non-wedding, and I can't believe the changes. Here's an update on my journey. My work at the environmental nonprofit is thriving. Our river cleanup projects has become a major success, improving water quality and raising community awareness. I've been promoted to project manager, overseeing several conservation initiatives statewide. This success has transformed my confidence. Gone is the timid people pleaser. I've found my voice and use it freely in meetings and forums. It's liberating to stand up for my beliefs without fearing others' disapproval. Personal growth mirrors my professional progress. Therapy has helped me overcome codependency issues, fostering a healthier self-image. I'm even mentoring younger colleagues now, sharing both work advice and life lessons. Family relationships have improved significantly. Mom and I have regular coffee dates. She's accepted my new path and even expresses pride in my work. Dad finally broke his silence last month. Our talk was emotional, and while he doesn't fully understand my choices, he's trying to reconnect. My sister and I are closer than ever. Living together has healed old wounds, and we're creating positive new memories. She's been my steadfast support throughout. Surprisingly, my parents recently attended one of our community events. Seeing them engage with my new world was deeply moving, a small but meaningful step. Romantically, I've been dating someone from the environmental meetup for 6 months. It's refreshing to have a relationship based on shared values and mutual respect. They support my independence and goals wholeheartedly. Looking ahead, I'm excited about future possibilities. I've finished my environmental science course and am considering a part-time master's degree. Balancing work, study, and personal life will be challenging, but I feel prepared. Professionally, I'm developing a proposal for a statewide conservation education program. It's ambitious, but I believe in its potential impact. The old me would have been too afraid to attempt this. Financially, I've stabilized. Though earning less than in pharmaceuticals, I've adjusted to a simpler lifestyle. The fulfillment from my work and relationships far outweighs any material losses. To those feeling stuck or afraid of change, it's never too late to rewrite your story. A year ago, I nearly settled for an inauthentic life. Now, I wake up excited each day. Thank you, Reddit, for supporting this journey. You gave me courage when I needed it most. I'm living proof that starting over, finding your passion, and living authentically are possible at any age. I'll continue growing, learning, and staying true to myself. Here's to another year of living life on my own terms. Update 5. 2 years post non-wedding, life keeps surprising me. I'm sharing big changes in family and work-life balance. The biggest shift is with my twin sister. Our reconciliation has been tough but rewarding. Countless talks helped us work through years of resentment. A sibling therapy session was our turning point. She opened up about past inadequacy feelings that led to her leaving. It was eye-opening and heartbreaking. Now, we're true confidants. We've even started a garden together, symbolizing our bond. Life threw a curveball. Dad had a minor stroke, and Mom was diagnosed with early Alzheimer's. We became caregivers, reminding us of life's fragility and family's importance. This crisis brought us closer. We united in caring for our parents, creating a schedule, and supporting each other. Our parents softened. Dad expresses love openly, and Mom delights in having us close. It's bittersweet, but I'm grateful for this time. Balancing work, family care, and personal life is challenging. My nonprofit role has grown, with a chance to lead a statewide initiative. It's exciting but demanding. I'm learning to set boundaries and prioritize. Some days I feel overwhelmed. Others I'm amazed at what I handle. Mindfulness and time blocking help manage stress. My partner is supportive, often helping with parents or household tasks. We've gotten creative with our time, turning errands into dates. Despite challenges, I feel fulfilled. These struggles showed me my strength and the power of family bonds. I've learned it's okay to ask for help and be vulnerable. To those juggling responsibilities, it's okay not to have it all together. Be kind to yourself. For those healing family relationships, patience and forgiveness are key. Thanks, Reddit, for your support. Life's unpredictable, but I'm facing it with a stronger sense of self and unexpected support. Here's to navigating challenges, cherishing good moments, and growing. I'll update later. Best wishes on your own journeys. Update 6. 3 years post non-wedding, I am amazed at the changes. Here's an update on my work-life balance, family, and personal growth. Work-life balance has improved. After an honest talk with my boss, we implemented a flexible schedule. I now work from home twice weekly, giving me more time for family and self-care without sacrificing career goals. I've learned to delegate effectively, focusing on big-picture projects. Our statewide conservation program is in its pilot phase, and I'm leading it without burning out. Family reconciliation is complete. Caring for Mom and Dad brought us closer. We've had deep conversations about past hurts, with tears and laughter. Last month, Dad made a heartfelt speech at a family gathering, apologizing for past pressures and expressing pride in us. Mom, on a good day with her Alzheimer's, said she always knew we'd find our way back to each other. My sister and I are closer than ever. We meet weekly and plan to start an eco-friendly business together. Personally, I'm excited about the future. My relationship has deepened, and we're planning a small commitment ceremony next year, focused on celebrating our love. I've enrolled in an environmental science master's program and started leading workshops on career changes. Sharing my story and helping others has been fulfilling. I'm planning to write a book about my journey to inspire others. The idea excites and terrifies me, often a sign I'm on the right path. To anyone contemplating a major life change, it's never too late. The journey might be challenging, but living authentically is worth it. I'm grateful for this community's support. Life continues to surprise me, but I face it with confidence, pursuing passions I never knew I had. Here's to growth, cherishing relationships, and embracing the unknown. Thank you all for being part of this journey.